Hi friends, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm finally going to be sharing my potion polish haul with you. So some of you might remember that around this time last year I tried a potion polish for the first time and was just so impressed with them. I picked up a number of shades from the summer collection that had released last year, and way back in the spring of this year she did this big restock, so I picked up a few of the shades that I was missing from the summer collection as well as a couple of others that I just had on my wish list. As you can see, this haul is very deep and moody, so even though I picked it up way back in like the early spring, I knew it was gonna wait until at least the second half of August. Now, unfortunately, Potion Polish is one of those smaller indies that just rotates out their polishes, so a couple of these are not available on the website anymore, and I'm really sorry about that because I know it can be frustrating, but I still wanted to share these because I think they're so beautiful, and I obviously have a lot of comparisons as well, so I'll save some more of my thoughts for the end. For now, let's just get into the swatches. The first polish I have here is Dusk, and this one unfortunately was already pulled from the website, so I don't have the official description, but I think I would call this just a very muted, plummy purple kind of shade with this fiery red to yellow shifting shimmer as well as a silver holographic flaky. And as you can see, the formula on this one was just so divine. It was incredibly opaque on the first coat alone, which I wasn't really expecting. Not quite a one coater though, but I did only need a second coat to make this fully opaque, and I would say it deepened the color a little bit, so it just has this like almost smoky kind of color to it, which I think is just so beautiful. And here I tried to show up that shift to yellow in some more adjusted lighting. It's a little hard to tell, but it's there. Next up I have Lavender Latte, and this one is actually still available as of recording, but it says that it's being discontinued, so I have the little coffin there just in case. And this one is described as a smoky pinkish purple jelly packed with gold flash reflective micro glitters and a luminous gold to copper shimmer. I really love this one. I feel like it's just such a cozy kind of color between the base color being that like warm purple shade and having that coppery glow, and obviously with the flash reflective glitters. It is just such a beautiful polish, and I also am a sucker for the name. This one also had a super smooth and easy to work with formula. It was a little bit thin on the first coat, but perfectly opaque in two. And here it is under flash, so you can see that gold reflective glitter, and even though it is described as gold, I feel like it definitely looks very coppery, but still very cozy. Next up I have Cactus Grove, which unfortunately was also pulled from the website already, so I don't have the official description, but I think I would describe this one as a sort of bright mid-tone green that isn't really grassy. I feel like this has more of a bluish undertone to it, even though this one does have a fiery sort of coppery orange to yellow shifting shimmer as well as a holographic effect. This one is another beauty. It also had a fantastic formula that was very even coverage on the first coat, but I still needed a second to get it fully opaque. I feel like if you look close enough you could see some nail line, but I just don't think it's necessary to do a third. And again, here it is with some more adjusted lighting, so you can see that shift to yellow. It is just so pretty against this color base. Next up I have Cabin by the Lake, and this one is described as a muted teal with a shifting peach to red to bronze to copper shifting shimmer and a healthy dose of glinting hollow flakes. So this one had more or less the same kind of formula as Dusk. I would say that the flakies in this one are maybe a little bit bigger though, or there's just more of them, but either way, this one just had another fantastic formula that was so incredibly pigmented and opaque on the first coat alone. I guess if you have shorter nails and depending on your application, you might be able to get away with one coat, but obviously I did still do a second coat for this one, and I feel like you can see it deepen up the color a little bit more. I honestly think this one is a lot darker than I was expecting it to be based off of the website photos, but it's still a really cool teal, just so moody but still so pretty with those flakies. Next I have Loch Lomond, and this is a soft and elegant slate blue with a shifty coppery peach shimmer and a glinting holographic flaky. So I guess I would say this one is more similar to Dusk, the very first polish, where it just doesn't look like it has as many flakies as the previous shade. But just like both of them, this one had another super full coverage, creamy kind of formula. I feel like it almost has a pearlescent effect too with the shimmer, probably because the base color is just so pigmented. So you might want to be careful with your application and not grab too much polish on your brush, because that's what will lead to more brush strokes, I think. And even if you did much thinner coats, I imagine you still would only need 2. Similar to the last shade, I do like how moody but still pretty this is, but also like the last shade, I feel like this just ended up being a lot darker than the website photos. The next polish I grabbed is In an Ancient Wood, and this one is described as a rich teal bursting with sparkling holographic effects and highlighted with a peach to bronze to copper aurora shimmer. This one also blew me away with the formula. As you can see, it was so full coverage on the first coat alone. There is a little hint of nail line though, so depending on your nail length and application, you honestly might be able to get away with this in one coat. I feel like doing the second coat for this one didn't really deepen it as much as some of the previous shades. While the color is gorgeous, I feel like similar to the previous couple of shades, this one just ended up looking a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. I feel like the website photos just have a little bit more mutedness to them. And something else I do want to mention is that because the base in this was so pigmented, it kind of swallowed up the shimmer, where it's a little more subtle compared to the others. And lastly, I have Black Sand Beach, which you may remember from my Tropicore video earlier this season. Unfortunately, this one seems to be pulled from the website as well. So again, I'm sorry if I don't have such an accurate description. So I think I would describe this as a super deep blue toned kind of charcoal gray. I know it's called Black Sand Beach, but it's definitely more gray than black. And it has this really fiery red to gold shifting metallic flaky as well. It just looks so cool. I feel like this unfortunately is not looking as cool as it does in real life. I don't know if it's just the glares or something with my lighting, but I just love how those flakies really glow against this base. And again, here it is with some adjusted lighting. I was trying to show off that shift to the more yellowy golden color, but it was so hard to capture on camera. So I didn't have time to do a skittle with these in natural lighting, so I wanted to just put them together in a little collage because I just love this lineup. I feel like for the most part they are pretty cohesive. Maybe Cactus Grove is the only one that's a little too bright. It's not really giving the same moody fall vibes that the other shades are, but I still really love it. I don't know what it is about that shade of green that is just speaking to me right now, and I obviously really like the others too, though I am a little disappointed by In an Ancient Wood and Loch Lomond being a lot darker than I was expecting. Now for comparisons, I don't actually have this one in my collection, but I was immediately reminded of Cirque's Earthen when looking at Dusk. I feel like they have the same kind of base, but Dusk just has more of a red kind of shimmer instead of pink. Then for Cactus Grove, I wanted to show this next to Cirque's All In because they basically have the same fiery red to yellow shifting shimmer, but they're pretty much different in every other aspect, so they're not dupes. So I thought a closer color comparison would be ILNP's Power Surge from the Electric Summer collection. That one is a magnetic, but obviously you can just apply it as is with no effect, and you can see that it kind of is similar to Cactus Grove. They have a very similar shade of green, which ILNP kind of calls this like a jade, but I don't fully agree with that. Power Surge is just a little bit more sheer, more jelly, and it does have more of a pinkish shimmer head on though. So I wouldn't call these dupes, more like sisters. Then for Cabin by the Lake, I was immediately reminded of Orly's Metamorphosis from their one Surrealism collection a couple of years ago. They have a pretty similar super dark and moody teal base color with like this coppery shimmer, but I would say that Orly is a little bit more green leaning with an orangey copper shimmer, while Cabin by the Lake is a little bit more blue leaning with a red shimmer. Obviously the main difference though is that there are no flakies in Metamorphosis, so I thought forgot to layer Cirque Delirium on top of that. And my bottle is the newer one where it's more finely milled, so it's not an exact dupe, but you kind of can recreate the vibe. Then for Loch Lomond, I was immediately reminded of Cirque's Velveteen, which is one of my all-time favorite Cirque polishes. It's this really dusky, almost smoky denim kind of color that has a coppery shimmer and this dainty hollow glitter. So while they're not dupes, I really don't think you need both. The main difference is that Loch Lomond has a little bit more of a teal undertone with a bit of a stronger shimmer, and the hollow is more of an irregular flaky. And the last comparison that I have is for In an Ancient Wood. I was immediately reminded of ILNP's Comet from the Cosmos collection. As you can see, they have a very similar fiery red to yellow sort of shifting shimmer in a very dark teal kind of base. Obviously, ILNP is a lot darker though, and the shimmer particle is a little bit larger where it's almost like a microflake. So again, not exact dupes, but kind of similar. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons for my potion polish haul. As always, I would love to know your thoughts on these shades that I grabbed, especially if you happen to have any of them. I was just so impressed with the formulas on these, which I don't know why that was so surprising considering I had a really great experience the first time that I tried them. But I guess sometimes you never know, since there could be some differences in formulas, especially when there are different finishes. But overall, I have not been disappointed by a potion polish formula, so I really love them for that reason. Again, I am really sorry that the majority of these have been retired already. I know it's common with smaller indie brands to just not be able to keep everything in stock forever. So I'm hoping with her pulling some of these, it just means that something new will be coming. But to be completely honest, I don't really follow the brand too much. I only follow them on Instagram, but I don't remember ever seeing any kind of mentions of like a new collection coming soon. And I don't remember them releasing anything in the summertime. They only did a release months ago in the spring when they did this big restock. So at least to me, it just seems like Potion Polish is one of those brands that just operates on like a much slower kind of schedule compared to at least a lot of other indie brands that just seem to pump out collections very frequently, almost monthly. So either way, I'm still a big fan of them. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I would love to see more of them. That being said though, I still am a little bit bummed out that 3 of the shades that I picked up were just a lot darker than I was expecting them to be. Obviously the colors are still beautiful and they have fantastic formulas, so you know, they're not bad by any means, but as you saw with my comparisons, I just already had similar shades to them and they're not really shades that I would want to have dupes of. So I most likely am going to be destashing Loch Lomond and In an Ancient Wood because again, they're beautiful, but I just don't want them to take up room because we are like approaching the fall season very fast, and these are the polishes that I would keep in one of my fall drawers. And as you all know, I'm just trying to be more mindful about the polishes that I'm grabbing, although I guess maybe it's my fault that I grabbed them in the first place. But again, I just thought they were going to be a lot lighter, more muted compared to the colors that I already had. I'll still have Potion Polish's website linked down below because even though most of these aren't around, there are still a lot of beautiful polishes that are still available. Some of them are limited edition, or they do have a little mention in the title that they're going to be discontinued soon, like Lavender Latte. And assuming you don't have any of the comparison shades that I mentioned, I would highly recommend any of the ones that I shared because again, the formulas were just so fantastic. And from the shades that I grabbed last year, I would also highly recommend Spiced. It is just such a beautiful mulberry vampy kind of shade with this hollow flaky. I ended up including it in my fall favorites last year and I'm honestly so tempted to do it again, but I'm gonna try and rotate it. Just as a heads up though, if you are planning on buying anything from Potion Polish, it does look like they have a kind of long turnaround time of 3.5 weeks. So just keep that in mind if you are planning on, you know, getting any like fall shades. They have a lot of beautiful ones, but unfortunately honestly, I feel like because of the long turnaround time, it's better to get them sooner than later. I'm really not trying to like encourage, you know, FOMO or anything, but I don't know, I just want to give you the information and then you do what you want. So either way, I hope that you enjoyed this haul. Let me know if you've tried potion polish before. I know a number of you have already picked up some of the shades I had shared in my very first haul because I just could not stop gushing over them. Or of course, let me know any and all thoughts that you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.